Fear is cheap. Fear is easy. Fear gets attention. Fear is spread as fast as gossip and is just as glamorous, juicy, and profitable. Fear twists facts into fictions that become indistinguishable from ignorance. Fear is a profit-churning go-to with the whole market being your whole family. I was sitting at the house one day, watching the game on TV not long ago, and along came this promo for the local nightly news. Are our schools poisoning our children? That story and summer's hottest bikinis tonight at 11:00. In that I had school-age kids at the time. I feared that they were in fact being poisoned at school, and summer was still a few weeks away. So I tuned in to get the scoop, and the actual news story of that news broadcast was this. A certain supply of hamburger was found to have a bit too much of a particular bacteria in it, and for safety's sake was being taken off the market. That same hamburger was slated for sale to an out-of-state school system for its cafeterias, but it was recalled in time. So, answering that news program's own question, no, our schools were not poisoning our children, but yes, that summer there would be some very hot bikinis at the beach. The early American naval commander John Paul Jones said, if fear is cultivated, it will become stronger. If faith is cultivated, it will achieve mastery. And this is why I'm a big fan of history, because observations in the American colonies over 200 years ago by Nathan Hale, who lived in that building right over there, translate word for word of the United States in 2011, for I take that fear to be fear in large scale. Fear itself intimidating and constant, and I take faith to be what we hold in ourselves, our American ideal of self-determination. Fear is whispered in our ears and shouted in our faces. Faith must be fostered by the man or woman you see every day in the mirror. The former forever snaps at our heels and delays our course. The latter can spur our boot heels to be wandering, stimulate our creativity and drive us forward. Fear or faith, which will be our master? 3 men found that they could no longer sleep because of their deep-seated fears. This is a story I'm telling. Their lives were in a state of stasis because of their constant worries. So they set out on a pilgrimage to find a wise man who lived high in the mountain, so high up above the tree line that no vegetation grew, no animals lived, not even insects could be found so high up in the mountains in that thin air. When they reached his cave, the first of the 3 said, "Help me, wise man, for my fear has crippled me." "What is your fear?" asked the wise man. "I fear death," said the pilgrim. "I wonder when it is going to come for me." "Death," said the wise man, "let me take away this fear, my friend. Death will not come to call until you are ready for its embrace. Know that, and your fear will go away." This calmed that pilgrim's mind, and he feared death no longer. The wise man then turned to the second pilgrim and said, "What is it you fear, my friend?" "I fear my new neighbors," said the second pilgrim. "They are strangers who observe holy days different than mine. They have way too many kids. They play music that sounds like noise." "Strangers," said the wise man, "I will take away this fear, my friend. Return to your home and make a cake for your new neighbors. Bring toys to their children. Join them in their songs and learn their ways, and you will become familiar with these neighbors, and your fear will go away." When the second man saw the wisdom in the simple instructions, he knew he would no longer fear the family who were his neighbors. There in the cave so high in the mountains that nothing could live, the wise man turned to the last pilgrim and asked of his fear. "O wise man, I fear spiders. When I try to sleep at night, I imagine spiders dropping from the ceiling and crawling upon my flesh, and I cannot rest." "Spiders," said the wise man, "no shit, why do you think I live way up here?" Fear will get the worst of the best of us, and peddlers of influence count on that. Throughout our nation's constant struggle to create a more perfect union, establish justice, and assure our domestic tranquility, we battle fear from outside our borders, from within our own hearts every day of our history. Our nation came to be despite fear of retribution for treason from a kingdom across the sea. America was made strong and diverse because here people could live free from the fears that made up their daily lives in whatever land they called the old country. Our history books tell of the conflicts taken up to free people from fear, those kept in slavery in our own states and deliberate whole nations under the rule of tyrants and theologies rooted in fear. The American cause, at its best, has been the cultivation of a faith that declares we will all live in peace when we are all free to worship as we choose, when we are free to express our hearts, and when we all seek a place free from fear. But we live in the world where too many of us are too ready to believe in things that do not exist, conspiracies. Divisions are constructed, the differences between us are not celebrated for making us stronger but are calculated and programmed to set us against each other. Our faith is tested by unpredictable providence and threatened when common sense is corrupted by specific interests. Speaking from 54 years of experience, the work towards a more perfect union is a never-ending concern. It involves each and every one of us. Evidence that our nation is becoming a better place is everywhere, but each new day fear is, as the Jersey poet said, lurking in the darkness on the edge of town. Your rising from bed every morning will give fear its chance to grow stronger, just as it will afford faith its chance to blossom. You will make the choice to react to one or create the other, and because you are smart enough to earn your place on this college day at Yale University, you will sense the moment and you will know what to do. In the meantime, ponder this front. In the struggle against ceaseless fear and its ceaseless flow, in the coming months and years, veterans of wars in Iraq and Afghanistan will finally come home for good after so many tours. Some after many tours that wore the body and the soul and spilled a great portion of their lives. For all of them, after a long time spent far away in the harsh realm of war, they've returned different from what they were when they left. Surely their faith in themselves is shadowed by a fear of not knowing what is expected of them next. No matter what your view of those wars over there, you can affect the future of our nation right here by taking their fears head on. You can imprint the very next pages of the history of our troubled world by reinforcing the faith of those returning veterans, allowing them to rest, aiding in their recovery, if possible their complete recovery. So let those of us who watched and debated their long deployments serve them now as they served when they were asked and as they were ordered. Let's provide for them their place free from fear by educating them if they can learn, by employing them as they transition from soldier back to citizen, and by empathizing with the new journey they're starting, even though we will never fully understand the journey they just completed. We all will define the true nature of our American identity, not by the parades and the welcome home parties, but how we match their time in the service with service of our own. Give it 4 years, as many years as you've spent here at Yale. In acts both proactive and spontaneous, and do the things you can to free veterans from the new uncertainty that awaits them, from the mysterious fears they will face the day after they come home. Cultivate in them the faith to carry on, and they will do the rest. Your work begins, work that will not be always joyful to you, labor that may not always fulfill you, and days that will seem like one damn thing after the other. It's true, you will now work every day for the rest of your lives, that full-time job. Your career as human beings and as Americans and as graduates of Yale is to stand on the fulcrum between fear and faith. Fear at your back, faith in front of you. Which way will you lean? Which way will you move? Move forward, ever forward, and tweet out a picture of the results. It may make you famous. Thank you and congratulations.